Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So I wanted to welcome those of you who are with us today to our panel with our European students. I enjoyed traveling through Europe last week, but one thing that I wasn't able to bring to you is our current students. So we have them with us today, joining us from Darden after class. And I thought we could start by we'll do some introductions and then we have a few questions, but then we also want to answer questions for those of you who are joining us. So just type those out in the box to the right of your screen and I will ask our panelists the questions you have for them. But let's go ahead and start with introductions. If each of you would give us your name, where you're from, what you were doing before Darden, and what you are hoping to do after Darden. So Felix, do you want to start?
I can do that. My name is Felix. I'm from Munich in Germany. And before Darden, I've worked in the venture capital industry for 4 years. I was a founder for a year in Berlin as well. So I've been like in the entrepreneurship area pretty much all my professional career. And that's why I want to stay in after Darden too, to while I'm here explore the entrepreneurship opportunities, VC opportunities, and I can see myself anywhere from like founding a company to working in VC or even PE in the long term. So I'm pretty open-minded for that.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Josep. I'm from Barcelona. Previous to Darden, I work in consulting, being exposure to strategy and finance, and also combine this role with a role as professor at Salle Business School. During the summer, because I'm a second year, I work in corporate development and strategy, and that's the path that I want to follow. By the way, I work in London, so in Europe.
Hi, I'm Ilya, a second year from Finland. Before Darden, I worked in industrial goods, did sales roles and a marketing management role, doing that. And after Darden, I'm going back to Europe, actually. Going to join Bain & Company, doing consulting for them. So that's me.
Hi, I'm Alexis. I come from Lyon in France. Prior to Darden, I worked for a private company as a managerial accounting manager for 4 years. I also have some previous experience in cosmetic industry, cost controlling. After graduation, so I'm a first year. After graduation, I see myself working in a corporate finance role or general management for a large company, but I also have one side of me that push me to entrepreneurship options. So like as Felix, open-minded.
Excellent, great. And while we are starting, now that we're at the end of the lineup, I'm going to go back to you, Alexi, and have you kick it back off and tell us a little bit about why you decided to pursue your MBA in the U.S. and then why you chose Darden.
Well, I decided to pursue my MBA in the U.S. Because I wanted a global experience, and that's the perfect place to start. So now I'm looking for an internship in the US or somewhere else, but not in France. I really want to leverage global experience. I think it's very important. So I didn't want to stay in France for studying my MBA.
Mm-hmm. And then why did you choose Darden?
So why Darden? The learning experience. So basically, we study with the case method, which is very interesting comparing to other learning methods. It's pretty unique. In the top schools, only HBS and Darden teach only with the case method. Also, Charlottesville is a fantastic city, small but a lot of things to do. Very nice weather. Pretty good environment. We are pretty tight community. We live almost all together. We share a lot. That makes the experience even better.
Great, thanks. All right, Ilya, you're next.
All right. Well, Alexi kind of pointed out many good things. The reason why I really went for my MBA in the U.S. So I worked in the U.S. before coming to Darden, so I think that sort of shaped my path a little bit. I wanted to continue being in the U.S., but I also knew that it would pay dividends in the long term. So over my entire career, I think having that global experience and making that global network that I can do here would be extremely valuable. So I think that was sort of what sparked my interest and my path in the applying to an MBA program in the U.S.
And which main office have you decided to go to at graduation?
I decided to go back to Helsinki in Finland.
Helsinki.
Yeah.
Great.
But I think, like I said again, having this experience in the U.S. is gonna just help me down the line, and I'm gonna go back to Europe for a couple of years, and then I'm gonna leverage my network and these fellows sitting next to me as well in the future, and hopefully I'll have a world full of opportunities to me. So that's what I believe in, and that's a great sort of segue into why Darden. For me, it was really the people. So when I visited Darden, there were two things that impressed me the most. One was the case method, as was mentioned. The classroom experience is it's fantastic. You just kind of get immersed into the conversation. It's really engaging, and you learn a lot while you do it. But the second thing is that the people here are just very down to earth. They're extremely, extremely smart, and everybody wants to help everyone out. So I think it's a competitive place, but we are a community and we support each other. And I think going forward, that's the kind of community that I want to identify with and have, behind my back.
Excellent. All right, Joseph.
Well, to put it short, why US instead of Europe? Basically, what I did is a comparison of business schools that I had available in the US that are in similar level than Darden. Narrowed down to LBS as INSEAD. Those were two profiles I was interested in, so I leaned towards the US. And specifically about why Darden, basically it would be repeating what Ilya and Alexis said, the learning experience, and I would not narrow down to only the case and the class experience, but in general all the learning experience. You also have the learning teams. That's a great way of learning. I really love it, and especially something that I appreciate a lot about Darden. It's very difficult to find in any other school. Probably there will be only one other school that can be compared to Darden in this specific situation. It's having the opportunity to talk with professors after class, just after class. Usually class go 10-15 minutes longer than what's scheduled because people go down to talk with the professors after class. That's something very unique that Darden offers, and also all professors have their doors open to talk with them whenever you need it. And it's not only about the class itself, it also could be about career and a sector that you're interested in. Learn more about this. So professors are really, really helpful. And also there is Charlottesville. Charlottesville is a great city. I really love it. My wife fell in love of Charlottesville when she saw it, so it was she said, you need to go to Darden. Say, okay.
That's important.
Yeah.
You got to have your following spouse support where you're living. All right, Felix, what about you? Why Darden and why MBA in the US?
I can obviously agree with everything they've said. For me personally, I was choosing the U.S. because the U.S. is still way ahead in terms of entrepreneurship education. I've looked at some European schools, but they're not comparable at all. And I did a pretty nerdy Excel sheet comparing all the business schools with the on the one hand the entrepreneurship side, then the MBA in general, and then on the other hand the town as well. And Darden always came up in the top tier. So, and I didn't even hear about Darden beforehand. So it was like looking into it way more, and everything just got reconfirmed as what I have seen. So, and I wanted a small town. I wanted a campus experience. I wanted a community, as was mentioned. I didn't want to be business school to be like something like work where I commute to every day, and I have like a settled big city environment. So I wanted to like just have this like as a 2-year condensed experience in a great learning environment, and that's actually what Darden can offer. And their entrepreneurship program is way more diversified than all the other schools I talked to. They were just mentioning, yeah, we have entrepreneurship courses and we did this and that, but it's pretty much you can get that anywhere. And here the ecosystem is really incredible. All the schools, the undergrads work together. There are multiple opportunities to get involved, and the school is supporting it very well. So for me on the entrepreneurship side, that was a important point, and to be able to combine that with a small city, this vibrant community here, was perfect for me.
And Felix, can you talk a little bit about the contrast between your studies in undergrad and your studies in business school?
Yeah, I did the classical diploma studies in Munich at the Technical University, so we had lectures only, and I pretty much never attended university. You were doing like internships to actually explore the workforce, and you were doing your exams, so it was pretty much like just you had to do it, and that was okay for me. I actually learned what I wanted to learn, but I wanted to do more. Like the case study method here actually is completely different from what I've experienced. You attend every day. It's very, as was mentioned, very interactive. It's a like great way to discuss points. You actually work with your classmates and the teachers moderating the class, so you learn from like different backgrounds, different perspectives, and yeah, it's the complete opposite to the German education environment.
Great, thank you. All right, so I'm wondering if we can shift a little bit to talk a little bit about what surprised you most about Charlottesville, Virginia. So maybe Ilya, if you want to start with responding to that question.
I can try, yeah. So like I said, I have years of experience in the U.S. and living in Virginia, so it wasn't maybe a total surprise to me when I got here, but the one thing I would say, it's a small town, but it has everything you could ever want to have in a larger setting. So, starting with food, things to do, places to go out, athletics, vineyards, what is it called? Trekking, not trekking, but hiking.
Yeah.
All sorts of opportunities that you can just, with the free time that you have, you can explore a very beautiful part of Virginia, in my opinion. So, I don't know. That was maybe the most surprising thing to me. I don't know. Maybe you guys can chime in a little bit.
Yeah, I think you didn't mention sports, but the University of Virginia has a lot of teams, so you can, if you like sports, watch the college players playing, and that's also a very the UVA has a very good basketball team, very good tennis team, very good soccer team, and also lots of other sports if you like it. Not as good as those, but yeah, you can also go and watch them.
Yeah. Alexi, what about you? What surprised you about Charlottesville?
What surprised me the most is that it's gorgeous. Really, the historic downtown looks a little bit like Europe, so I think it is fantastic, this historic downtown. You have a lot of very good restaurants. That's something I love to do, going out with my friend to the restaurant on Saturday night or Sunday night over the weekend, but also, like Elliot said, exploring the city. There are like many vineyards around. Charlottesville produces actually a very good wine. Yeah, that's something that surprised me.
Fair. Felix, do you have anything to add about surprises for Charlottesville?
Yeah, I can give back the European point. I was always afraid that in America you pretty much only drive places, and it's not a very like culture where you're outside and can enjoy, and that's totally different here. So I don't even have a car. I walk places. The food culture is amazing. You're always afraid that it's in America it's a little bit on the fast food side, but here it's way better. It's very organic, local farms. The wine and the like craft beer brewery scene, like for me as a German, is very important. So I was really surprised. It actually looks a little bit like my hometown back in Germany. So it's a very vibrant city, and there like for the fact that there are just not very many people here, they pull off great stuff like. Beer festivals, museums are great here. It's a lot of culture going on. We had this amazing concert last week with Justin Timberlake, Ariana Grande, and a lot of other like great bands. So like, it's a great music culture, art scene, food scene. It's a very diverse town for being such a small community.
Great. And what about, and any of you who are listening in, again, feel free to ask us questions. I'll keep asking questions. But so my next question is about career opportunities. We are located in Charlottesville, Virginia, 2 hours south of Washington, D.C. Do you feel that it's been a disadvantage to you in terms of getting in front of recruiters?
Well, I can go first. I did a lot of on-grounds recruiting, and I never felt like it was a disadvantage. I mean, I always thought we bring in the caliber of companies any other business school would. But my recruiting efforts were very focused sort of in consulting. So we did bring in the biggest, McKinsey's, BCG's, Bain's, all these big names. They're here a lot. But that's just my, consulting point of view.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with Ilya. You are recruiting for consulting or banking. You have almost what you need. You will have all available. All the top consulting firms, all the top bankers would be coming here. If you want to do something specific, but this would happen to any business school, obviously you cannot bring the smallest company of the U.S. But you want to recruit for something specific. Although you have a lot of plenty startup opportunities located in the East Coast. Obviously the West Coast is far away, but it would be difficult for any East Coast business school to bring small companies from the West Coast. But from the East Coast, especially Charlottesville, there are a lot of startup opportunities and venture capital opportunities because of this. So that's also probably an advantage that you don't have in other cities, that they don't have this vibrant startup and venture capital environment network that you have in Charlottesville. Also, I would say that almost all the big companies recruit in Darden. I don't think that I didn't have the feeling last year that there was somebody big missing.
I cannot speak to the banking and consulting. I just know that all my fellow first years are like constantly in recruiting mode here. So there are a lot of options for the entrepreneurship part. It's like it is an entrepreneurship. It's a little unstructured, but in a positive way too. Like we had a conference last week. I have an all-day conference tomorrow. There are people from VC. There are a lot of VCs here in town. There are startups. They have a venture fellow program where they fund your internship partly, and you can intern with a VC, or a VC will put you into a startup of their portfolio. So there are plenty of opportunities to like explore being a founder, being in VC, like just working for a startup in a pretty risk-free environment for the next 2 years. So this is a great opportunity, and there's so many options to explore. But it is, as it is an entrepreneurship, it's a little bit more about your own desire to actually get involved. And I think the consulting, investment banking, finance parts, they're like very structured, very organized. I've seen all the big names. I can totally agree with that. And yeah, so like you have pretty much all the options you want to go for.
Okay, now I have 2 questions. You can pick which one you want to answer. The first question is, what has surprised you most about your classmates? And the other is, what has surprised you most about the classroom experience?
Anybody wants to start?
Yeah. About the classmates, everybody is very smart, but everybody is super nice. That's something that surprised me because I believe it's not always the case when it comes to smart people.
Yeah, fair enough. I would echo that, and I was trying to make the point earlier where everybody here is in some ways brilliant. Everybody is just incredibly smart. But people are extremely supportive, and we have a community here, I think, that kind of looks out for each other. It doesn't really... We don't use the elbows. We try to push each other forward. And because we're a small school, we need to, be one rather than, be divided to be successful. So I think that has maybe not surprised me, but it's been a really positive thing about this whole community and this whole experience.
Talking a little bit more about the class experience, something that surprised me is that even you can even learn through the case method in courses that you think that you know everything. So I was specialized in finance before coming here, and I learned some things in Finance 1. It's the most basic thing that you can have. And even though you learn because it's a case method, you can always go beyond the basics. So you always have the opportunity to learn new things. One thing that I was afraid, in fact, is that maybe in the court I would learn not a lot because I have a business administration degree. I work in consulting. So probably there would be some courses that would be like checking and, well, I learned nothing about this, but just passing. And that's not the case. I learn some things from every course. And I would say things that even significant in finance that I was able to apply in my summer internship by doing only Finance 1 and 2, which are core courses, very basic stuff. It's supposed to be. But you even learn. That's something that really surprised me.
Yeah, I can echo that classroom experience. I come from a business background too. I have worked in venture capital, and I thought the first quarter would be just repetition, but it's not that at all. It's new stuff every day. I always, when people ask me how it is, I always say every day feels like 3 days, and not in a not in a negative way. It's just so intense. It's you learn so much, and then you have so much else to do, free time activities too. So I've been here 7 weeks, and it feels like 21, and this is great. So you get 3 times out of every day, and it's so and it's so diverse. You never get bored. And that's actually the classroom experience definitely contributes to that in big time, because you can take away a lot that you can take to your daily life right away, even here. So it's a great experience so far.
That's great. So you spend a lot of time in the classroom. You spend a lot of time with your learning team. You spend a lot of time thinking about your career and what's next. What about clubs and activities? Could you talk a little bit about some of the clubs and extracurricular activities you're involved with?
You want to start?
I can start if you want. I'm of course in the EVC club. That's the Entrepreneurship and Venture Capital Club, and I'm a first year representative for them. So I'm kind of getting involved already because that's actually what I want to dive into. Then I'm part of the European Society. I think. Are we all? Yeah, all of us are. So that's actually a thing to actually meet an affinity group from Europe, and we do great stuff. You can probably talk about that even better than I can. And and then I'm in Darden Capital Management. I just want to learn more about stock investing and stuff like that. I'm not recruiting in that area, but it's just perfect to just learn about.
What is Darden Capital Management?
That's actually something really cool. So there's funds available, like real actual money. I think it's 15 million now, and
That's a
the
lot.
10 to 15 million dollars that are like it's split into 5 funds, and those funds are actually run by students, and they invest in stocks, and they meet once a week and discuss different companies and what to invest in, what to short. So, and you can just sit in, listen, learn. You can pitch your own stocks. You can get involved as much as you want to. They help you recruit in that area. So it's just a great way to learn about stuff like that. And I like to just like listen and get better at that. And I can't even start talking about all the fun clubs we have. There's so many different ones. Wine and cuisine. Oh gosh, that's like maybe you can add in what is your like favorite fun club. I have all of them. So
Yes.
Yeah, go
So
ahead.
no, sorry, go ahead.
Was just to echo that. I mean, there's a million ways you can get involved at Darden. You know, whether you want to be a part of the student government or the, club leadership, or whether you just want to have fun, like with the outdoors club or the racket sports club, whatever, soccer club. There's like a wealth of things that you can do. You just have to. The one thing you have to take care of is like managing your time. There's so many things you can do, but only a limited amount of hours in the day. So it's 2 years of great fun and great learning. That's all I have to say about that. Really.
That's great.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, also during first year you probably are more spread around different clubs, and second year, especially if you take a board position in one club, you have to give up some things of other clubs and focusing more. So, for example, now I'm in the board of the European Society, so I'm more focused on the European Society than other clubs, but basically for time constraint. Also, you have opportunities to organize conference. For example, a group of Spanish people, we are trying to organize an MBA conference for Spanish people, bringing relevant businessmen, Spanish businessmen even from Spain or the US to do some keynotes and panels. That's also a way that you can get involved in. So that a lot of opportunities. I won't worry about this. You will find what you like it.
All right, I have one more question because I know you guys are busy, have things to get off to. October 5th is our first round deadline, so the application deadline is coming up, and I'm wondering if you have any last minute tips for people who are applying to business school this fall.
Well, do not really only on the GMAT score. Even if your score is high, work on your essays and or your whole application. Everything matters.
Yeah, to flip that around, if your score is low, like mine was, there are still ways to turn that situation around, and you just have to really think specifically what's unique about you, what's unique about your story, and how do you add value to the Darden community, or what kind of unique insights might you bring into the classroom. And if you're able to communicate that, then you can make up for other things that might not be as strong in your application, and it's a holistic way to look at it.
It's far away from me. The application process, it was almost two years once I applied, but I would say that just be yourself, so as you are during the interviews. Don't get nervous, especially at Darden. The interview is very nice and very conversational, and that's all. Don't try to be who you are not, because maybe you will get picked for the wrong school.
yeah, maybe. So like to sum that up, so be consistent, like make it a round story, and be authentic. We're looking for nice people here probably, because that's only the people I've met so far, and I think the story is very important. And if you can really much like relate to what we have said here today, I think you're gonna love it here. And And I think that's a good point to put in your application too, to just actually like you have informed yourself about where you're going, and you feel like you can fit into like a team learning community environment. And if you can say yes to that, I think you're fine to go.
Great. Well, thank you guys for spending time with us today. I believe that we can contact you through the European Society website. Is that right,
Yeah.
Joseph?
Of
Yeah.
course.
Okay, excellent. And we'll put this webinar up on the website as well. And I'll type in my email address if anyone has any additional questions. And I guess everyone have a great evening or have a great day.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.